Welcome watching EMEE6002 Sustainability and Climate Change. This session is about Green ICT. ICT means Information Communication Technologies. So nowadays we use a lot of internet, e-commerce in our daily life, but this is very polluting. So how polluting is e-commerce? For example, in every single click on a Google search, will consume 0.0045 kilowatt per hour. Although this amount of energy is very tiny, but imagine there's so many internet search every day. So Google processes in the order of 10 to the power 15, we call petabyte of information every day. And we are handling about 400 million inquiries. So if we multiply this number by this 0.0045 kilowatt per hour, we are talking about energy consumptions of 1.8 million of kilowatt per hour is being used every day, which can be used by more than 3,000 California households. So energy consumptions by internet is very huge. And a lot of carbon dioxide will be emitted during this process. So if we can do something to save the energy consumptions by the ICT process, or make use of ICT to help us to reduce energy consumptions, then it can help to improve the environment as well. There are two approaches. One is green of ICT and other is green by ICT. Green of ICT means we reduce the burden of this ICT process on the environment, reduce the emissions, reduce the energy consumptions by making use of better ICT technology. So the process of ICT itself has to be energy saving. Where green by ICT is to make use of these ICT technologies to help to reduce the burden of environment and by improving the efficiency and by reducing the energy consumption of the whole process. Okay. So let me give you some examples to illustrate the differences. So from the energy source to the power plant, after passing through the distribution network to the household data center, and in the data center, a lot of energy will be spent in the cooling process and then convert to the power feed into the equipment rack. Then the energy in the equipment rack will feed into the server and then to the CPU processor, and then finally turn into the business applications. So in this process, a lot of energy will be lost. In the distribution process, 70% will be lost, and then 15% will be spent on cooling, another 9% will be spent on the conversions of the power and voltage level, and then only 1% will really fit into the processor. And then in the processor, about 0.01% will be spent on the process. So if we can reduce all these energy consumptions, then focus more energy spent on the business process, the processing power, and we can save a lot of energy. One way to achieve energy saving is by improving the energy efficiency of data center. So we can do some server consolidations and also improve the cooling facilities in the data center. So instead of feeding cold air into the whole data center room, when the temperature is very low and workers working inside the data center has to wear thick clothing, why not we simply feed the cold air into the equipment rack and cool down the equipment directly? So instead of cooling the whole volume of the room, we can put some air pipe that flow from the raised floor and cool the equipment inside the equipment rack. Another way is to use logical server hosting. Instead of using one server for each domain or each applications, we can logically divide a server into many partitions and many subdomains so that one server can then serve the purpose of multiple servers. And nowadays, there are some servers in the size of a blade. Okay, they call this a blade server. So we insert this server into a chassis instead of requiring a lot of individual server installed at the equipment. One equipment with many server, many processors running at the same time can also save the space and the energy consumption. So logical server hosting is the way that we consolidate a few applications, database all together in one single server. And this can help to reduce the hardware requirements, and therefore the energy consumptions can also be reduced. On the other hand, Green by ICT means to make use of ICT applications to help us to replace some of our existing business actions that require energy. Okay, for example, we can make use of data communications, paperless communications, video conference. Like what we are doing now, you don't need to travel back to the school, save the transportations, and also save energies in the lecture room. And then we do this type of online learning is also a way that we can save energy. So mobile data communications can help to make use of the mobile phone or your computer network to do remote process, and you do not need to go back to school or office. And also the power consumption of a mobile is less than the desktop in the office, so it can help to save energy. And the paperless communications that you can make use of iPad or using the system iCars for paperless communications in the cars. So we make use of the ICT devices like tablet, mobile phone, and iPad and so on to replace what you need to do using a paper or a book. So in the nutshell, we don't use paper to share ideas anymore, right? You can make use of your mobile phone, and through iCars we can collect your ideas. So we can save paper. A video conference and online class can also save the traveling time. So some of you even not in Hong Kong can also watch this video. You can save the airplane travel. Some government and companies are doing this at this moment, not because they are contingent, but also is a way that can save traveling. And the government is also making use of the e-government and turn a lot of public services online. So the citizens can simply go to the web and then they can finish many different applications and many operations with the government. So they don't need to travel to the government office, and some government office in the recent weeks they even closed down, but they still maintain the online service. So this is also an example that they can make use of ICT technologies to reduce energy consumptions by the ordinary business activities. And making use of ICT can also optimize the transportation, reduce the needs of transportations and vehicle emissions. For example, GPS satellite can identify the locations of the workforce. So when a company wants to send a job order to their staff, for example, to deliver goods or collect some goods from their customer, they can make use of the GPS data to identify which staff is closest to the customer and then send the job order to them, and so that the travel time and also the transportation costs and vehicle emissions can be minimized. Another way that ICT can help is by the use of ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, and also the MIS, Management Information System in a company. So many companies do have this system in place that can keep track on the inventory level, the raw materials, and when the materials drop to the certain level, they can send an automatic replenishment request to the supplier so that they can minimize the warehouse, minimize the energy for the storage, and minimize the operating energy. So let me give you some tips on how to reduce energy consumptions in the ICT activities. First, you can redesign your data center. To redesign the air cooling system so that it can efficiently cool the equipment rack instead of the whole data center. And making use of cloud computing so that you can reduce the usage of hardware, and you share your hardware among other users in the cloud network can also help to save energy consumptions. And using power management, screensaver, if you're not using the computer, or set the sleep mode into say 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So when your computer is not using for a while, it will be automatically save energy. And try to use more telecommunications and teleconferencing, online lecture and so on, so that you can reduce the traveling time. So if you can make use of all these activities and make use of ICT technologies to help, we can save a lot of energy and help to save the world. Thank you.